Dear future me, how are you? I hope you're doing really fine. I hope this finds you well and hopefully you can have fun watching it back. Today I'm going to play the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. And starting from episode 2 of the second game because I finished the tutorial, episode 1 recently, but at that time I haven't started thinking about streaming it and making it a diary for myself, a gaming diary. I made a gaming diary for myself so I can remember what else happened in the game, so I don't really need to see other people gameplay because I have my own gameplay. Yay! So without further ado, I guess we can start this. Okay, let me just see how is it in YouTube because I'm doing this on YouTube, right? So I have to see if it's properly recording, I can actually record this and then edit it, but like, come on, you have to edit like 2 hours of gameplay at least just for I don't know, a documentation. This is a documentation for myself, so I think that probably it's much better if I just stream it. Okay, let's just start it. I don't really like this. Yeah, I finished the first game too, so I don't like how the lag of... Oh.
ブライヤーロードの歩道で起こった姿なき犯人による冬の夜の惨劇。背中を刺され倒れた裏若きレディが生死をさまよううちに事件は解決した。窮地に陥った東洋人の留学生が我が友人によって救い出されたその晩、ガス灯の刻むほの暗い影の中、再び奇怪な事件が闇を切り裂いた。当時の新聞の戦場的な見出しを記憶している者も多いだろう。悪霊に見入られた死の邸宅、死刑囚の呪い、ガスマジン。現場に駆けつけた名探偵は瞬時にその真相を看破するのだが、それは悲劇の舞台の幕開けを告げるプレリュードに過ぎなかったのである。
My name is Yunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a fledgling lawyer just starting out on my journey. 6 months ago, I arrived as a visiting student of law, having made a long voyage across the sea from the Empire of Japan to here, London, England. And on the way, in quite extraordinary circumstances, I made the acquaintance of the world's detective. Currently, I reside in the attic of the detective's own lodgings, from where I run my legal consultancy of sorts. I've successfully defended a number of clients in Britain's highest court, the Old Bailey. But since a particularly grueling and unforgettable legal battle 4 months ago now... Oh, so this is a flashback, okay. I haven't returned to the courtroom. In truth, I lost my right to return. But that epic trial was just one small part of an epic tale, a tale which was now about to awaken from slumber, thanks to the letter that arrived this morning from my homeland. Oh, that's... What a delicious smell waving up the stairs. It must be nearly time for breakfast. I'd better go down to Mr. Sholmes' suit. Sholmes! Is it Sholmes? Holmes? And say good morning to the great detective and his flatmate. Should I say Sholmes? How do I say Sholmes? Sholmes. Oh, Bruno, good. I was just about to call up to you. The bacon's ready. Good morning, Iris. It smells delicious as usual. Before we eat, though, I have some news. Oh. Shh, not another word, Mr. Naruto. This could be just the abstruse thing for my pre-breakfast stagnation, repelling mental stimulation, my dear fellow. Morning to you too, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, yes, I see. So that's it. The truth is clear to me as day. The faculties of observation have revealed it again. What are you talking about? You, Mr. Naruhodo, you have this very morning met with a surprise. Well, is that not the case? Really, my dear fellow, it barely warrants explanation. Firstly, your hair is particularly unkempt, somewhat reminiscent of a bird's nest. Secondly, you have neglected to fasten the third button of your jacket. Clearly, when considered together, these two facts point to you have been flustered this morning. Can I talk now? But of course. Though I don't look for admiration, you understand. My hair always look like this. It's been this way since I first met you, please. Oh, it has? And the button was ripped off last night, if you remember. By you? Really pulled your button off? Ah, yes, I recall the incident now. It was after supper, was it not? As the evening advanced, I picked up my violin and began to play the wailing notes of a haunting tune. But then, my utter dismay, the third string snapped. Why did it have to happen? Why? Little wonder then that in my vexation, I grabbed the first button I saw and ripped it from its proper place. Well, I'd like to take it back now, please. It's troubling me that I cannot fasten my jacket. And it's troubling me that you expect me to know where it is. Somewhere thereabouts on the floor, one presumes. Helpful. What matters at the present time, my dear fellow, is simply whether or not my deduction was honorary. But Harley, Bruno said it when he came in, didn't he? I had a surprise this morning. Well, that really is a surprise. Man, this Sholmes guy, as always. Yes, this man is the pride of British Empire, the famous consulting detective Mr. Sherlock Sholmes. Sherlock Sholmes. There cannot be a single person in the world who doesn't know his name. No. People know Sherlock Holmes, not Sherlock Sholmes. Alright then, enough of this silly conversation. Come and eat this bacon before it goes cold. And I have a new herbal tea for you to try too. My latest special blend. Oh my god, it's so hard to voice for Iris. And here we have Iris Wilson, Mr. Sholmes' lodger and companion. A truly exceptional young girl who's the author of a highly successful serialization here in London. Yes, The Adventure of Sherlock Sholmes as published in Rand's magazine. I don't know if the volume is too loud. I don't know. Let me change it. So, Mr. Naruhodo, won't you put us out of our misery? What surprised you this fine morning? Wait, I forgot they're British. Oh well, I received a letter from Japan. Oh, from Susie, you mean? Was it? Really? That's right, and she had some rather startling news, in fact. Ah, intriguing indeed. You must tell us all about it over breakfast. Oh yes, what fun! I actually like to... Oops. I actually like to examine everything. Ah yes, this is where you note down ideas, isn't it, Iris? What in the melting pot today, The blue carbuncle? Carbuncle? Yes, it's from a case of theft that Hurley solved ages ago, the theft of a precious stone. A carbuncle is another name for garnet, you see? Especially it's cut with around the top. Oh really? And this garnet was blue, was it? Wait, isn't garnet red? Well, that's the thing. They're usually red. No blue garnets have ever been discovered. Oh. Yeah, see? What did I say? So who knows what the stolen gemstone actually was? That's the real mystery of the case. A proper Sherlock Holmes conundrum, huh? What else can we see? Oh, do be careful, Bruno. You mustn't try the contents of any of those bottles, even if you're hungry. I wouldn't do something stupid like that. I'm not a child, you know? Well, I wish I could say the same for Hurley. The other day, he polished off a full bottle of one of my alkaloids. Oh my god, alkaloids. He what? He said he was hungry. I'll be extra careful. What else can we see here? Tea set. I look forward to finding out what the aroma of your tea will have, Iris, every single day. Well, I infuse a different concoction of herbs from the garden every time, so it's never the same twice. When you call it a concoction, it sounds more like a science experiment than something for tea time. Ah yes, that's because different plants can have very different properties. Some calm you down, some make you feel jolly, some give you energy. Today's particular blend is something quite special, so you're really in for a treat. That sounds ominous. And I loved voice acting, but voice acting for a long time is gonna get you exhausted by myself. These are different pieces of evidence from cases you've solved, aren't they, Mr. Sholmes? Not quite, Mr. Naruhodo, not quite. These trinkets are a selection from cases I've solved with particular aplomb. They are souvenirs for of my success. Memories, Mr. Naruhodo. Memories. Really? So tell me about the case in which the bust of Napoleon featured. I forgot. Forget. Memories, he said. Wonderful, Mr. Sholmes. Wonderful. I like Naruhodo. He has sarcasm. Like he's like Phoenix Wright. I can type with my eyes shut, you know. I can believe it. When deadline's approaching, you sound like a Gatling gun. That reminds me of a dream I had the other day. It was such a funny one. It woke me actually. I was typing for a whole hour in a pitch black, but I didn't make any single mistake. That's incredible. But then, when it got light, I found that there wasn't any paper in the machine. Now I wonder if I'd actually been typing at all. I think you might just have fallen asleep on the job. What else we can see here? I really like the OST too. But consider this. Instead of a fireplace, a frost... No! How? You mean like refrigerator? Yeah, it's just a refrigerator. Oh no, actually, air conditioner. It's air conditioner. What am I doing? Why don't I have an idea? The trouble is none of the fires I built ever occurred. Burn coal? The heck? Ah yes, the huge metal chest with the lace cloth laid on it, being used as a table for tea and coffee. It's very sturdy, that's for sure, and firmly locked shut. That chest contains my father's detailed records of Hurley's many cases. Yes, I have been led to believe, though personally I've never actually seen inside. And that's the way it will stay. Those papers are a secret between Daddy and me. If you go opening it uninvited, you might find yourself being beaten. What, is there a beast inside there or something? Oh, oops, I picked the wrong thing. Books, papers, scientific implements, these shelves are stuffed to the gunnels. Miss Susato wouldn't be able to help herself if she were here. She cannot stand mess. Susie might not be able to stand mess, but she wouldn't dare touch those shelves. Oh, why not? Everything's in intricate talents. Hurley spends ages on it. If you were to touch even one thing, the whole lot would come tumbling down. Ha! Susie noticed it. Was a very delicate arrangement right from the outset. You make it sound like a meeting of great minds. But the truth is, Mr. Sholmes just needs to tidy up, man. I couldn't help to improvise. I'm sorry, I like to improvise. What else? What else can I... Oh. That machine really is imposing, isn't it? But I can never remember its name. Hurley calls it the Great Analytoscope. It can analyze anything at all. That doesn't really help me. What does analyzing something even mean? Ah, an extremely astute question, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? Well, as Iris said, my machine here spits out analysis as a result of anything within which you care to present it. But how to interpret those results, that's the key. And I confess I have no idea. This is stupid. Huh. Clearly, I'm going to have to construct a great analytoscope to solve the problem. That might not help. Ah yes, Mr. Sholmes. Faithful musical companion, wasn't this violin made by somebody famous? Yes, it's Stradivarius. Though I'm afraid you have to save up for 100 years before you could afford one, Bruno. But didn't you buy it for a song, Mr. Sholmes? I found it in a pawnbrokery. Among the forfeited articles, it clearly says Stradivarius on the label. What? The ignorant broker had no idea of its true value, you see, so I paid mere 55 shillings for it. Yes, I have something of a turn for shopping. Sherlock Holmes, bargain hunter. But is it really a Stradivarius then? But of course, my dear fellow, it said so on the label. I think perhaps the ignorant broker had something of a turn for selling. Okay, I think we're done with that. Yeah, nothing else. Nothing else to say. This is the letter that arrived from Japan this morning by international post. Oh, how lovely! Look at us! Look at Susie's beautiful writing. I wish I could read it. And how is your judicial assistant faring, may I ask? She's very well, thank you. In fact, according to what she's written, she's actually appeared as a lawyer at the Japanese Supreme Court and won a case. That's the case of the first. That's the first case that we do. Oh really? Oh, isn't she wonderful? A cut above your good self, my dear fellow. I've won cases too, you know. Apparently, Mr. Natsume appeared in the trial as a witness. Natsume. No, I don't recall that name. Of course you do. We helped that man twice. You know, in those 2 cases that took place on Briar Road 6 months ago. Actually, the first game have one case that we defend. Who was it? Mr. Natsume. But the other case, I think it's this case right now. Ah, the mustache twitchy man with the somewhat feline eyes and the mustache. 2 times mustache. He didn't have 2 mustaches, Hurley. Yes, who could forget those 2 cases? They made a very deep impression on me. How do I do British accent? Although I must confess, the details are a little hazy now. Very deep impression they made on you, clearly. Startling news. So, what was this startling news penned by Miss Susato? Do you remember the case of the haunted lodgings, Mr. Sholmes? Ah yes, it's very interesting, you know. I don't feel entirely uncertain that a case that nature did not occur. He's totally forgotten them. Anyway, in her letter, Miss Susato asked that we read over her case notes again and investigate further. Though it took place a half year ago, for what purpose? Because of something that Mr. Natsume said to her, apparently. He suggested that the real reason why she was called back to Japan suddenly might have had something to do with the case of the haunted lodging. Yeah, we don't have the haunted lodging case yet. It's probably this one. Oh? On Mr. Natsume's return to Japan, Miss Susato's father questioned him about the case, she says. And something Mr. Natsume said appeared to trouble Professor Mikotoba, prompting him to send a telegram. Oh, that case, yes. It was very strange, wasn't it? Yes. I don't know the case, man. And I had compiled the whole story into a nice, neat manuscript ready for publication too. But then Hurley here was all funny about it, remember? He was very mean. The story must not be published, he said. Very mysteriously as well. Really? Said that? Are you sure? Do you perhaps know something about it as well, Mr. Schultz? About why Miss Susato was suddenly told 4 months ago that she had to return to Japan. Ooh. It's been 4 months now since we waved Susie off at Dover. It was such a shock, wasn't it? The way she just suddenly announced that she had to go back to Japan. Indeed it was, due to the telegram she received from her homeland, I believe. That's right, telling her to return urgently. Yes, because her father had passed away. No! No! It just said he was suffering from high fever and the cause of which was unknown. He's not dead. Oh, sorry. But according to this letter, that news about her father's fever was just a ruse. A ruse! So Susie's daddy lied to her so that she'd make the voyage back home? Why would he do that? I have to admit, I have absolutely no idea. But she believes it's almost certainly related to the case of the haunted lodgings. Is this gonna be flashback? Oh no. Summoning her back to Japan so sudden like that. I wonder what Mrs. Sato's father is hiding. Harley, do you know what it's all about? Oh, he's dressed up. Ah, well, who can say? What? But you said... Please, I have engagements, my dear fellow. My calendar is quite surprisingly full today. Oh, he's dodging it. And a stringent analysis of the matter would be excessive, I feel. Even if I were quite at leisure. So, man the fort in my absence, won't you, Iris? I will, Hurley. Don't worry. See you later. How do I do British accent? He's cut it off rather quickly there. I think perhaps Professor Mikoto isn't the only person hiding something here. Soseki-san was involved in 2 cases, but only one of them was forbidden from being published. By of all people, Mr. Sholmes. Aha! I found them at last! Iris, are they the notes about the case? That's right, Susie and I compiled them together. The case of the haunted lodgings. Do you want to read them, Bruno? Absolutely. Thank you, Iris. I have no idea what secrets could still be hiding in the shadows of this case, but perhaps if I read over the notes again, something may come to light. That's the spirit! Oh? And so, Iris and I decided to read over the case notes again together. Everything from what happened to our investigation and the fierce battle in our court followed. Reliving every detail, I just need to find a clue. And I have all the time in the world. Because of course, I am no longer allowed to practice law in the courts of Great Britain. Now, wait, what? Then what is I doing there? What is I doing? What is he doing there then? Wait, what happened? What happened in these 4 months? What happened? It was 6 months ago, a mysterious incident that unfolded on the wintry streets of London. A young woman was found lying on the snowy pavement of Briar Road with a knife on her back. Okay, so this is in the first game. Fortunately, her life was spared, but she was unconscious for several days following the incident. The fog was thick, and nobody saw her attacker, but by a cruel twist of fate, a visiting Japanese student was walking behind her at that time, and was duly arrested. That man was Soseki-san, and the man who effected his arrest was Mr. Sholmes. Believing in our compatriots' innocence, Susato-san and I decided to represent Soseki-san in court. And after a grueling trial of many twists and turns, we finally managed to prove his innocence. Joyful, joyous, jubilant, jubilation! Was the man's reaction after the trial, but his jubilant jubilation was short-lived. We received a telegram from Mr. Sholmes the following morning. The victim of the Briar Road stabbing was regained consciousness. Hurry to Bart's at once! So Susato-san and I summoned a hansom and headed immediately to the hospital. There you are at last! Good morning, Mr. Sholmes. I think not. Oh! You're late! What on earth took you so long? Your telegram only arrived at 5 o'clock, Mr. Sholmes, and it's a 20-minute ride to the hospital. That's right, and it's 5:30 now. I think we made a very good time. The time is utterly irrelevant. The fact is, I have been waiting for what has felt like an eternity. In point of fact, I myself was awoken at 4 this morning by the telegram boy, and feeling it was somewhat unjust that I alone had been aroused at such an hour, I sent one to you. Well, thanks for that. Anyway, you're here now, so the victim is over there. She's only just regained consciousness. You should introduce yourselves, and I shall observe from here. So that's the lady who was found on the snow-covered pavement with a knife in her back. Her name is... yes, here we are. Miss Green. Let me examine first. What is this? What is this? This rounded wooden figure isn't the most charming, isn't it? I don't think that's a decoration, Mr. Naruhodo. It's an artist's mannequin, I believe. I used when practicing sketching the human form in different poses. Really? It's not exactly what you call a typical figure for that purpose, though, is it? No, I suppose not. I confess I've never seen one quite so full-figured before. Well, if you want to draw a full-figured person, it's the right tool for a job. What is this? Look, there's a photograph in this frame here. Oh! Yes, it's a picture of a young gentleman. He looks to be about the same age as Miss Green, I would say. Perhaps the young woman's special someone, do you think? My, Mr. Naruhodo, I didn't think you had sense for matters of the heart. Not in the least. I sincerely said the first thing I thought of. Isn't she a painter? Because she has an easel. Why is it like this? Or maybe it was her. It was actually her. We don't know. There are lots of bottles in the cabinet, aren't there? Do you think it's safe to keep them like that? If you were a patient here, I feel sure you'd take some medicine by mistake when you were half asleep. That is a worry, but at least the cabinet has a lock, even if it's only a flimsy-looking one. Oh, I have no doubt you managed to unlock this somehow, while you were half asleep as well. There are limits even to what I can do when I'm half asleep, you know, Mrs. Sato? A mouse! Mr. Naruhodo, an enormous mouse! Yes, it is an enormous mouse. Vermin in hospital? That doesn't seem to be the best. But it looks like a very healthy specimen, doesn't it? It's very plump. I'm not sure we can say that down to the excellence of this facility, if that's what you were thinking. These look like the patient's treatment notes. Let's see. Do not feel— What? What is this place? A zoo? You know, I seem to remember seeing an almost identical sign in our local park. For the pigeons, yes, this is a person. Poor woman, I hope she hasn't read this. What else? What else? What else? The bag. That must be the bag of Miss Green's personal belongings. She would have been brought likely here after she was found stabbed to the on the pavement, though. I expect a friend or family member probably bought some things for her. Alright then, let's see what's inside. A change of clothes, no doubt, and... No, Mr. Naruhodo. You must never scrutinize a young maiden's personal belongings. But the young maiden might have chocolates, or biscuits, or caramel. Wait, why is that? Why is that a problem? Yes, you're right. I can imagine if you were peckish, you might try a whole bottle or two. Well, at least there seems to be a little lock to secure the cabinet doors. I don't imagine that would stop you if you're very hungry. I worry that you'd break the lock. Hunger doesn't turn me into a criminal, you know, Mrs. Sato. But why is there a rat there? That doesn't make any sense. Do not permit to run around the hospital? The patient doesn't seem to be here at the moment, so he or she probably running around the hospital. Yeah, if the patient can run around, why wouldn't they discharge them? Good morning. How should I? Hello, you know Skinner Hodo from the Empire of Japan. Oh no! Was it your knife that? Are you the man who? No, I'm a lawyer. And I'm Sasato Mikotoba. Pleased to meet you. Oh no! Was it your knife then? Are you the one? No. I assure you, I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. We heard that you regained consciousness and wanted to come to give you our best wishes. Best wishes? For me? Thank you. I'm Olive Green. I'm an artist. Well, no, that's not right, is it? What I mean is, I'm trying to be an artist. Well, what I really meant is, I desperately want to be an artist. Same as me. I desperately want to be an artist too. But I cannot draw, for the love of God. I cannot draw. Oh, excuse me. It's no wonder I was stopped in the back. Oh my god. I don't think that's related actually. Oh gosh, this young woman seems to bend over backwards to put herself down. Oh, she has bad self-esteem just as me. This girl is me, but I'm not as chubby as her, but I'm still chubby. But anyway, seeing as we are here, we should ask her about what happened from her perspective, I suppose. To suddenly be struck in back by a blade as you were walking along the pavement. Oh my god, the notifications. What a terrible experience you had, Miss Green. It was so cold that day, and the fog was so thick. I couldn't see a thing. That was 4 days ago, I think. Is that right? Yes, that's right. I'm afraid you've been comatose all that time. But the case has been solved, hasn't it? Well, I've been here in the hospital, I mean. Indeed it has, my dear madam. Spectacularly by none other than I, Sherlock Holmes. Mr. Sholmes, as you well know, it was Mr. Naruhodo's hard work in court that solved the case. Oops. Are you yet to hear what happened, Miss Green? Yes, I'm afraid so. A gentleman from the police force is supposed to be coming to fill me in shortly. Oh, I see. Me coming around seems to have made everyone frantically busy. I'm so sorry. I should never have regained consciousness. It was so... Oh my god, this girl. Oh no, we're all so relieved that you're on the mend, Miss Green. Really, we are. With that kind of attitude, maybe her surname would be Blue, not Green. That is so clever. So you're an artist, are you, Miss Green? Oh no, I couldn't possibly claim that. I'm a fledgling artist at best. Same. I mean, I'm a student of art, really. At the Thorndike? What is Thorndike? Academy of Fine Arts. Oh my, an Academy of Fine Arts. Great Britain has such a wonderful country. It's such a wonderful country. Tell me, Miss Green, do you live hereabouts? Oh no, actually, I don't deserve it, but I have a little flat on Brixton Road. I see. How very interesting. Oh no, is it? Brixton is some 10 stops away on the underground from here, and Thorndike Academy is a mere 3-minute walk from Brixton Town Center. Does that matter, Mr. Sholmes? Perhaps not, but Briar Road is far less salubrious. What is salubrious? Part of town by comparison, dwelt in by those of inferior means, including the maleficent Mr. Mustache. Inferior means, I suppose Soseki-san does fit the bill. It struck me as somewhat of the ordinary for young fine art students to be walking in such district. That's all. What's this? She suddenly clammed up. Mr. Sholmes, you should be ashamed of yourself prying into a young maiden's private affairs. Oh dear me, do forgive me. If you don't mind, I'm being discharged shortly, so I need to pack up my things. Oh yes, of course, we won't keep you. Thank you so much, Miss Green. Is there Mr. Narrow Folder? Narrow Folder here? Mr. Narrow Folder? Folder? Narrow Folder now? Well, if you're looking for Naruhodo, the lawyer, that's me, but... Ah, Mr. Narrow Folder! Good, this is for you! It's a message from Mr. Saucy Nutsmack. What the heck is Saucy Nutsmack? Oh, Saucy Nutsmack is Soseki Natsume. Yeah. Mr. Natsume sent a message to me? But why would a policeman be delivering a message from Mr. Natsume? Exactly. What's going on? What's a Scotland Yard constable doing playing delivery boy at this time in the morning? Oh, what are you waiting for? Let me see that. Oh. Well, this is most unexpected. Is something wrong, Mr. Sholmes? Is something wrong, Mr. Sholmes, he says. Have you not seen this note? No, how could I have? It would seem that London's criminals have no intention of letting the great detective rest. A new case calls. A case of murder, no less. We must depart at once. Murder? Call a cab. Time is of essence. But the trouble is, we've yet to read Mr. Natsume's note. I was thinking we ought to pay him a visit of his lodging once we did. That will be entirely convenient. Convenient? What do you mean? It's all here in the note, my dear fellows. The murder we must investigate took place at Mr. Mustache's lodgings. Wait, what? I'll hail a fierce, I don't know, at once. I don't know words. I need to practice my English. Ah! This is why I'm trying voice acting. Okay, you can do it. You can do voice acting. It was only yesterday that Soseki-san was in court and we were dispelling doubts about his innocence. And now, the very next day, there's a murder at the man's own address. He may very well be the unluckiest man alive. Or so it seemed to us at the time, but we were soon to discover it was worse than we thought. What happened? What the heck happened? What on earth? Oh my, the gentleman is deceased without question. He's dead. Welcome, student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Mr. Natsume. Oh, why? Why is this happening to me? I've only just got out of court yesterday. I was finally home after 2 days of you're in high spirit again this morning, Mr. Mustache. What the horrible hairlock, Sholmes! You! Shove off! Show yourself to the door! I never invited you! Mr. Sholmes came here with us. I'm quite sure he'll be able to help you, Mr. Natsume. I am entirely at your disposal, Mr. Mustache. Bleh! Mustache? 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 Mustache. Here they are already, the busybodies. Ah, Inspector Gregson. What a pleasant surprise. Pleasant, is it? Gives me heartburn every time I see your face at the crime scene, Sholmes. Ha! I deduced, the Inspector, that your heartburn is a result of your excessive consumption of fried food. Good morning, Inspector. This is a crime scene. Don't you go touching anything. Good morning to you too, Sunshine. Haha. Oh. There's a lot to uncover here. What is this? Yeah. Oi! I say hands off! You're gonna mess my crime scene. Oh, no, I just wanted to look, that's all. No chance, I know your kind. You'll mess it up by just looking at it. Ugh, someone's in a bad mood. There's certainly some bad air here, isn't there? Ha 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 ha. Alright, sounds like I'd better talk to the inspector first and try to curry some favor. Okay, we talk to Inspector first. Okay. Oh, okay. So, Inspector, what was the victim's name? Who was he? Oh, shoot! Mr. William Shakespeare. Oh, wait. Please wait a moment. I need to chew. My nose is kinda tingling, so I need to sneeze first. Excuse me. There. All done. Yeah, me from the future. I guess I'm a bit on the flu right now. So, yeah, nothing big. As you can probably tell, he was an actor. A bit of a dead loss as it happens, or just that. Dead. Mr. Shakespeare. Yeah, it's a shame. It was the landlord, old Mr. Gary Depp, and the other lodger, Mr. Natsume, who found him. The fella didn't rise at his usual hour, so Gary Depp got worried and kicked the door down. But doesn't Mr. Gary Depp have a bad leg? Ah, yeah, you're right there. It was the jitter Japanese hunchback over there who actually did the kicking. Really? So sticky-san. The victim was pretty hot up, it seems, even done some time inside for petty crimes. He had no money, no place to go, no friends. His only acquaintances were the people in his house. Miserable life and miserable end to it. So what exactly is Mr. Natsume still doing here? He's not involved in the investigation, so shouldn't you have sent him away from the crime scene? Well, I'm not saying it because the fella looks odd or anything, or that he acts suspicious, but I thought it would be prudent to take a statement from the culprit. I mean, cohabitor. You nearly said culprit there, didn't you? Oh dear. Mr. Natsume appears to be under suspicion again. It certainly seems that way. He does just come across as such an odd fellow, doesn't he? Poor man. How unfortunate. Anyway, I can't say much until the coroner gets here. But I don't think the fella's been a goner that long. The body's still warm. Even if the inspector would allow that, I don't think I could bring myself to touch that body. So, am I allowed to inspect things then? No? I'm not allowed to inspect things? Are you sure? I'm sure? Okay, talk to Natsume. What a terrible thing to have happened. It's only been 3 days since I was arrested for the incident on the pavement outside. And then, having finally regained my freedom, it starts happening all over again. Endless existence, excruciating experience! So the victim lived here on the ground floor and your room is just 1 story up, isn't it? Yes, that's right. In a way, we were neighbors, I suppose. So, did you know the victim? Were you friends? Oh. Oh. What's this? Suspicious? What's the matter with Soseki-san now? It was an innocent enough question, wasn't it? Why does he seem to be shaken by it? Well, I suppose he wasn't a complete stranger. But he never invited me to his room. Never! On my honor, I swear it! What an extreme reaction. You're probably wishing you'd never asked now, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo? When we found him here, I felt wretched, which is why I sent words asking you to come. Through that inspector over there! The hell is Sholmes doing? Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? Ha! You need only observe to know it, my dear fellow. Investigating, naturally. There's nothing natural about that pose, though. That's it? Oh. Mr. Sholmes, have you made some miraculous discovery? Patience, my dear madam, patience. We've not been here in the room for 5 minutes. So far, all I have managed to deduce is what actually happened. My goodness! But isn't that everything we need to know, Mr. Sholmes? Now that you proposed the idea, I believe one could indeed see it that way. At the present time, I've managed to draw 2 incontrovertible conclusions. The first, that there was a physical struggle here last night in which the victim fought for his life. Mr. Natsume, what's wrong? Is something that Mr. Sholmes said significant somehow? No, don't mind me. Forget I was here. Oh, that's suspicious as hell. And my second conclusion is that there was a poison lingering in the air here last night, past the victim's lips. Nonsense! It's being so suspicious right now. Alright, Mr. Natsume, why are you reacting so extremely to Mr. Sholmes' deduction? No, please, pretend I'm not here. Invincible, ineffable, inscrutable, insignificant. Impossible to ignore. You must tell us everything, Mr. Sholmes. Spare no detail. But of course, let the theatrical tragedy before us be unraveled by my great deductions, presented by your pleasure in 2 acts. We heard some truly astounding great deduction from Mr. Sholmes in the past. No doubt this will be no exception. What miracles will unfold before our eyes this time? Is he being sarcastic? You know he's being sarcastic. So my dear fellows, for your delight and wonder, let the curtain rise. For Sherlock Sholmes, logical and reasoning spectacular, Act 1. I actually love this BGM so much. I love this BGM. Careful observation of the victim reveals, yes, the events that transpired in this disconsolate room last night. Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates that use of poison. Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate which contains, you will observe, 1/2 of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful, indubitably. Why is this soap set so purposely upon the dish, like the victim's last supper? In fact, yes. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork revealed the answer. What? It appears that the young man's appetite was his undoing. Taking up the arms in the form of his cutlery, the victim engaged in a deadly battle for his life. Yet the struggle against his hunger was in vain, for in the end he couldn't resist devouring the slippery fish. Oh my god, what the hell is this? What the hell is going on? But London's whole soap is besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. The soap and the ladder. But the young man's mouth are too perfectly matched to ignore. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to excessive ingestion of foul soap. Oh my god. Though personally I have greater interest in the taste of foul candle wax, of course. What is... Wait, candle wax? What? Poisoning from soap ingestion. Suicide or murder. The cause of death identified. We proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder? The audience will recall the death occurred during the victim's last supper. Did the man dine and die alone? The single teacup suggests the answer. To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. The careful criminal would have absconded on his own cup to cover his tracks. Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Indeed, what revealed the answer, of course, is the broken lock. Though forced open now, at the time of the incident, this door was locked. And the sole key was in the victim's pocket. In the other words, when the victim consumed the poison, he must have been alone with his inferior soap, from whence wafted an inferior scent. And with that acrid aroma lingering in the air, the victim met his end in tragic solitude. We can take comfort only in the fact that his soul was cleansed on his way to the hereafter. Thus concludes the final act of Sherlock Holmes' Great Deduction. Sherlock Holmes is always outrageous. There's just one thing, Mr. Holmes. You are disposed to identifying just one thing, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Pray, what concerns you? Well, no matter how hungry he was, do you really think the man would have eaten soap? It is quite apparent that this man had barely a penny to his name. It is a curious thing, but to one destitute, soap can suddenly appear quite irresistibly appetizing. How extraordinary! How extraordinary! How extraordinary! It seems I cannot spell or extraordinary. In short, I have tried a little. Oh my god! Ah. What? And did it? As I writhed in agony on the floor and split the contents of my stomach, yes, I believe it did. The experience taught me a valuable lesson. Soap is quite poisonous. It has an unpleasant taste and lead to great discomfort. In summary, I cannot recommend it. Believe me, I wouldn't eat it even if you did, man. There's something that troubles me as well, actually. Oh, what's that? It's Mr. Natsume. I couldn't help but noticing him shuddering and quivering out of the corner of my eye. Almost as if Mr. Sholmes' deduction touched a nerve somehow. Nonsense! Well, that clenched teeth episode didn't last. I think, judging by Mr. Natsume's reaction, the great detective deductions may need some gentle corrections in order to reach the actual truth. Yes, Mr. Sholmes' observation and deductions are sometimes a little too sharp. He has a tendency to hit the nail on the side of the head and drive it in at an obtuse angle. When he does that, it fails us to straighten things out. Alright then, let's see what we can do. Oh, oops. Yeah, we must pick out every key words in Mr. Sholmes' quite brilliant deduction. And discreetly exchange them for something that makes a little more sense. If we can do that, I'm sure we'll arrive at what Mr. Sholmes meant to say in the first place. In that case, are you ready for the second performance of the day? Once again, my dear fellows, for your continued delight and wonder, let me the curtain rise. For Sherlock Sholmes, Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1. Careful observation of the victim reveals us. Blah, 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 blah. We already hear this. Of course, it's Forker revealed the answer. Oh my god, I think I need to sneeze again. Wait. Then, well, you cannot deny that the fork implies that man was eating something or about to eat something. Yes, that's true. If I were to decide to eat soap, I would prefer to use the fork than to attempt it with a chopstick. And of course, only half of the bar of soap is left on the plate. But might there not be some other explanation? Something material that proves whether or not the man really ate some soap. Oh, what is this? Another piece of soap? Look, there's more soap in the floor here. Mr. Shakespeare. It's really half lovely stuff. Let's not jump into conclusion, Mr. Naruhodo. Look closely at this soap. Do you see that it would fit together perfectly with the half bar on the table? What the? How can that be? I think that they are two halves of the same bar that broke apart. So, shall I present the other piece of soap? Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the other piece of soap reveals the answer. It being the other half of the soap on the table. In short, the victim was not eating soap at all. But it's obvious, really, for no depths of hunger could drive any man to attempt to eat soap. Even I, with my unquenchable thirst for practical knowledge, took only a single bite. But that begs the question of how the man was poisoned, because there's no sign of any food on the table. An excellent observation, Mr. Naruhodo, and one that furnishes us with the answer we seek. For London's full soap is besmirched with full poison. Yes. Huh? Mr. Sholmes still pushing the soap argument. Perhaps he's suggesting the man licked the soap rather than ate it. The soap in London is that poisonous? I don't think I want to be washing my hands with it. But there are no signs of any food in this room at all. Of course, food isn't the only thing that passes people's lips, isn't it? Huh? What other things here? Contents of the plate. The contents of the plate is just the soap again, is it? Well, you know, there's a saying in Japanese, don't you? If your food is poisoned, you might as well eat it plate and all. Well, there's an image. All I can picture now is the victims taking a bite of the soap and then the plate. The soap like the tofu and the plate like giant rice cracker. Oh dear, that sounds like a very bland combination. Let's see what's the fork is. If the victim didn't eat soap, then what did he eat? Ate. Yes, it's a real mystery, isn't it? Ah, I got it! He wasn't interested in eating soap at all. Is this fork he wanted to satisfy his hunger? Mr. Naruhodo, I really don't think it's helpful to continue with this line of reasoning that the gentleman had peculiar taste. Susato-san has such a gentle way with words, but I know when I've been told off. Of course, it's this cup, isn't it? Yes, a western vessel for the serving of infusion of dried tea leaves. It's a teacup, Mr. Naruhodo, as you well know. Stop putting on airs. And it's empty. Ah, so we've already established that the victim wasn't eating soap when he died. However, there's significant evidence that suggests that he was drinking tea. My thoughts exactly. So this? Okay, I was right. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the teacup. Indeed, cups have been vessel of choice for practicing poisoners over the centuries. And it would be appeared that this victim drank every last drop. There's no sign of food anywhere in the room. Which led us to the immutable conclusion. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to the ingestion of poison contained in this teacup. Blah 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 blah. Act 2. Blah 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 blah. Oh, that's murder. Definitely murder, I think. Yeah. Ace Attorney always have murder, not suicide, I think. Have we ever had a case where there's suicide? I don't think so. The western vessel for infused hot drinks again. It's already featured heavily in our deduction so far. Yes, we can imagine that shortly before his death, Mr. Shakespeare was having a drink of tea. There would be nothing remarkable about that, but what troubles me is Mr. Natsumi's reaction when he heard Mr. Sholmes suggested it. Maybe there's more to this deduction than it seems. We must closely examine the scene of the crime again for some clues. Oh, there's 2 teacups. Did the man die and die alone? These other teacups suggest the answer. Yes, there were 2 teacups in this room all along. Ah! In other words, this is a strong indication that at the victim's last supper, there was a guest present. At the very least, we can say now, with certainty, that somebody else was here in this room last night taking tea with the victim. What are you talking about? Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly, unreasonable! To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. In which, what more can we deduce about this possible guest at the table? Well, allow me to leave the field of doubt, my dear fellow. Do you mean to say you know who exactly is in this room at this time of the victim's death? Indeed, what revealed the answer, of course, is the broken lock. I'm not sure I like where this deduction's going now. I'm afraid it's too late to go back to the halcyon days of eating too much soup. But the identity of the guest who was in here last night when the victim passed away is something I have a very bad feeling about. Well, you can try to ignore your feelings, but we cannot ignore the truth, Mr. Naruhodo. No, I suppose not. Time to look around again. Oh, what? There's a pile of books. At first glance, it seems that the only thing in this room are the makeshift station costume. I overlooked these 3 books initially. I wonder what they are. Let's see, the titles read The Picture of Monsieur Lecoq, Canterbury Yearnings, and A Meal for Gaboriau. Wait, I'm sure I've heard those titles before. It could be just an incredible coincidence, but they're the exact same 3 books that Mr. Natsume purchased the other day. What? Yes, on the day of the unfortunate incident. Wow, I don't even remember what he bought, man. Yeah, we know that, but how did you guys remember? I really don't know what to make of it. It's definitely this one, man, but it's empty. Empty of liquid, but full of air. What makes you think? That makes you think, doesn't it? It makes me think that you're full of hot air. We should be thinking about who else was in the room and it happens. The room where it happens. The room where it happens. I'm sorry, I just watched Hamilton the other day, so... I just watched Hamilton the other day. I mean, yesterday. I just watched Hamilton yesterday. And it's still stuck in my mind. Do you remember it, future me? Do you remember when I go to Hamilton, watching Hamilton in Melbourne? Yeah. It was such a great time watching Hamilton, man. Even Mr. Shakespeare didn't eat candles. We've already established that he didn't eat soap either. Do you think perhaps the guest brought this candle here last night? Even he or she did, does it reveal anything about the guest's identity? Good point. There goes my idea. Snuffed out like that, the candle will be. If you sigh too deeply, Mr. Naruhodo, you're in danger of blowing out in the flame. She's right. She's right. Oh, wait. Let me see. YouTube. YouTube is much better than Twitch because Twitch is like as soon as your bitrate really comes down really low, it just cut off the stream. But not YouTube. YouTube's okay. I'm gonna stop talking about stream. I'm gonna stop talking about the stream. We're just playing the game. Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the pile of familiar books. Quite so. It's no mere coincidence that the 3 titles are here in this room. It's linked to the truth. Mr. Natsume, you purchased these books 4 days ago at the second-hand shop. That's just a coincidence! In that case, you will be able to bring the same 3 titles from your own room, will you not? This very moment. No, never, non-negotiable! If you cannot bring your own copies here, it proves that the 3 books are in fact yours. Having purchased the books 4 days ago and returned to your lodgings, you were arrested the very next day. So you could conceivably have brought the books here on that evening, but you never mentioned that. In other words, you could only have brought these 3 books here to the victim's room. Oh, that's nice. That's nice animation. Last night, having returned to your lodging after the trial concluded at the Old Bailey. In short, there's only one possible conclusion. The victim died here in the room last night as a result of poisoning. And the same night, the victim had a visitor. And that visitor... That's so cute. Was you, Mr. Soseki Natsume? Soseki Natsume. This concludes the final act of Herlock Sholmes' Great Deduction. Deduction complete! Elementary, my Watson! Not again! Not again! Not again! Not again! Well then, Mr. Natsume. It would appear you are gonna have to accompany me down to the yard. Again. But wait! Hold your horses! Yes? Door! Key! Locked! Entry, exit, entirely impossible! He's so flustered, he's being even stranger than normal. What? You think that's an alibi? You could have just made a copy. What? You live in the same building after all. You've had plenty of opportunity, I'm sure. But misery me! Sorry, sir. You'll get your chance to give your side of the story later. The facts speak for themselves, Mr. Mustache. Ah, you horrible Herlock Sholmes! Hurley has found himself an arch rival now, hasn't he? Come now, no dilly-dallying. Outside, there's a carriage waiting. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire! I never imagined I'd be in this position again, but... You have to help me, please! Please, I'm innocent! Alright, I understand. We'll come to your cell later and talk about it. And one more thing. Yes? My poor little kitty cat. Please give him his breakfast for me. And so, his evil curse still apparently unbroken, Soseki-san found himself once again the prime suspect in a case of murder. Thanks to the incriminating deduction of the great detective. My dear fellow, that honor belongs to you. So we just catch the guy and We're trying to help him in court? What the hell is happening? Have you forgotten what the inspector mentioned before? It was the landlord, Mr. Gardep, who discovered Mr. Shamspiel. Ah, Mr. John Gardep, yes. What is the pun? Gary Depp. Is it like carrying debt? Is that the pun? I expect we would find him in his sitting room on the top floor as usual. Right, we must remember to go and talk to him later then. So... This is some sort of makeshift stage, I think, isn't it? Where does the audience sit, though, for the nightly Shakespeare performance? Actors aspiring to the great stage must practice their art, Mr. Naruhodo, with or without an audience. In fact, on a related note, perhaps you should set up a mock bench for the defense in your office. What? Then you could practice your art every single day. I'll think about it if you promise to don a breath and play the role of the judge. Breath? I mean beard! Well, if that would help you achieve your goal, this I have to see. This is a gas wall light, isn't it? It must be connected to a gas pipe in the wall. Gas lights, a gas stove. London really is a city of gas. But now that I think about it, Mr. and Mrs. Gardep had an open fire on the top floor, didn't they? Oh yes, you're right. I don't recall seeing a gas stove up there. Well, I much prefer a real fire anyway, it's so much cozier. Is this electricity? No? Oh, gas meter. Wait, they do that before? Like in old days? They do that in old days? But if you put your coin over there, then how will the provider, the gas provider, collect it? I don't understand how this works. Yes, or if you were a scatterbrain with no change because you forgot to exchange your money at the bank. Thank goodness there's no meter in our office. No, I thought it was like the head of the... Because there is a victim in the first game that have the head like this. That's why I was like, is that the head like that? There's not much on the shelves, is there? Just this wine glass and bottle. And both of them are cracked. He has not much use, are they? What's the matter? Oh, I was just reminded of the Reaper, that's all. Persecutor Lord Fanzix? Yes, he's so reckless with his wine glasses. I was thinking it's a waste that he should donate some to the needy. You can suggest it next time we need. Oh. Look at this extravagant, bright costume. Somehow they look out of place in this room, with its grim and shady goings-on. This one looks like a king's attire. A king? I've always dreamed of being a king. Dreamt? Oh, I think you'd be more suited to a feudal lord, a daimyo or such like. With con mage and top knot? Every Japanese man wishes he had a con mage. Chon mage? Con mage? Oh, you'd look wonderful in one! And you already have the sword! Can you imagine what would happen if I walk around in the street of London with a con mage and a sword? As we've seen from the outside, the window is completely bricked up. vestige of the former window tax that Britons had to pay. What a strange thing they used to tax in Great Britain. I mean, making people pay for the number of windows they had in property. This is extraordinary. Yeah, that's weird. Why? Why would there tax for having windows? It's heartbreaking to think that poor having to block up their windows just to avoid an affordable tax. Oh, what is it, Mr. Sato? If you look closely, the number of bricks are loose. Oh! Soaps? Ah yes, it looks though an amateur has broken out a few of them just here. Wait, was it Mr. Shakespeare who did it, I wonder, being a lodger renting this room? Oh, look at this, Mr. Naruhodo. On the outside, there's a little ledge. And there's something on it. What? Outside? Examine again. It's so cold outside. You can feel it through this gap. It did snow last night. It would be cold. But more importantly, what is it on the ledge out there? What are those snow-covered lumps? It's more bars of soap. Soap? What are bars of soap doing lined up on the ledge outside the window? I have no idea. But the pair of them look rather charming like that. Still, that's very strange, isn't it? A bar of soap lined up outside the window? I think perhaps we should take one. There are two of them. Wait, no, don't take this crime scene. You know, when you watch Detective Conan, they always say, no, don't touch this crime scene. No, the police will handle that. You cannot go and touch this crime scene. You should go and call the police. That's what I got from Detective Conan anyway. Metante Conan. There's a patch of different color. It's sort of transparent, but some sort of fancy design, I suppose, only in Great Britain. It looked like the Hinomaru flag of Japan, doesn't it? How wonderful! It's probably a very expensive brand. Expensive than what it's doing in the ramshackle old room. The heck is a bar of soap? Why? What's with this guy and soap, man? I don't understand. Oh, what's this? What's this? It looks like a part of an envelope, I think. Yes, I think you may be right. Perhaps it was torn off when the letter was opened. Is that significant? Well, it's a little out of place perhaps when you look around the room. There's no sign of a letter or the rest of the envelope, in fact, is there? She's right. And yet, here we have the torn off end of an envelope. It just strikes me as unusual. I agree. We better take this just in case then. Is it gonna be the piece of evidence, the damning evidence, that the last evidence that put the nail in the coffin? You use like that. One of the teacups that Mr. Shakespeare and his guests drank from last night. But don't go drinking from them, Mr. Naruhodo. There's bitter poison inside. I'm not planning on drinking any, don't worry. Anyway, the cups are both empty. That's true. So, one was Mr. Shakespeare's. And the other one must be the cup that Mr. Natsume was drinking from. But Soseki-san wasn't poisoned, of course. Perhaps we should take this so we can examine them in more detail later. Oh, the pair. The pair of teacups. That's it? I didn't get to examine the body. Gregson. Inspector Gregson, back so soon? After I threw that little Japanese fella in the clink, I went and reported this to the investigation division. In 5 minutes time, this place will be cordoned off by the yard. Oh, I see. Well, we'd better be leaving then. Poor Mr. Natsume must be feeling very low being back in the cell again so soon. I'm sure. Kaget gila. What? Hah? Hidup teh. Out brief candle. Life but a walking shadow of poop there. That struts and frets his hour upon stage, and then is heard no more. Now, how sounded the next part? It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Indeed! Oh, happy day! What? Walking Dead! What the heck happened? What the... Huh? Huh? I think, yes, it was from William Shakespeare's Macbeth. Wait, I don't remember that line at all. Do you remember it, future me? Maybe you should go and check the book of Macbeth. I think we still have it. Yeah, I think we still have the Macbeth book. It is a memory. If the man had indeed been poisoned, it transpired that it hadn't killed him. He was taken by emergency carriage to the nearby hospital. Shoot. Okay, am I back? Am I back, YouTube? Should be back. It's excellent connection right now. Should be. Okay. Oh wait, as we wait, I'm going to have a drink first. So let me just mute. Okay, I'm back. Oof. I went to the toilet too. I think you can hear the toilet sound. Oh my god. Okay, we're going to continue this. Okay. What's that man doing over there? He looks like he's trying to see into Soseki-san's lodgings. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Excuse me, could we have a word? Ah! Wait, is that... He looks like the scoundrels, delinquents, mafia, the bad guy from the first game, where the trio of thief, I think. Yeah, we seen him around because in the last game, I think he appeared like just over there, just over here. Where is it? I remember him. I remember him appear over here, but like it just so briefly, and I thought he was integral. It's important to the story, but no, he didn't do anything at all. But now it's actually come to the second game. Wow. So I think from the first game they already know that they're gonna make the second one, the sequel one, because if not, there's so many what was it, cameos? No, not cameos, like hints. Yes, hints from the first game but the second game already. So I'm just sad that it doesn't have a third game, because this one is actually really good. I mean, I like Phoenix Wright, but like, can we have Ryunosuke Naruhodo's sequel too? I mean, like, this is a sequel, but like, I want another game of this one, of this current timeline. Unfortunately, it will appear that the resident of this district cannot afford to pay half the work done. Yes, that is a sad state of affairs. Especially for people like poor Mr. Natsumi, who have to live all cooped up in a windowless room. I suppose that's the price you pay for living in a very cheap accommodation. It all seems rather pointless when you put it like that. Wait, can we see the soap? No? No soap? I read that bicycles are extremely popular over the Great Britain at the moment, in fact. That one seems very wrapped though, especially the front wheel. Is that to make it more of a chance ride, do you think? No, I'm afraid that might be a result of the rider's incompetence. For the front wheel to be so badly wrapped, I'm afraid the rider might have been similarly afflicted. Then there's a good chance Mr. Natsume has been practicing on this bicycle, I think. Oh dear, I fear you may be right. This over here, I definitely think it will be. We will have a case on this building. Yeah. The Crystal Tower. That's it. Definitely, it's gonna be on the story. See, it's like they're hinting already at it. Yeah. Especially when they say it all over again, repeating the information. It's definitely gonna be used as a location for the case. I remember it's like Kuroshitsuji, Black Butler. Wasn't there something similar like that in Black Butler? Like an exhibition in London, was it? Or was it the... Yeah, it was the exhibition in London where they make the curry pan. The bread. The curry bread. Yeah. There's a lot of nostalgic things. Man, I haven't read the recently the Black Butler one. Future me, if you're already finished reading Black Butler, please comment down. Set dear past me, I finished watching I finished reading Black Butler and it's very good or very bad, I don't know. But please tell me how is it? Because the recent plot twist, man. The recent plot twist is really I don't know, it's so weird. It's hard to say because it's just it feels like the genre, not the genre. The genre is still the same. Dark fantasy, but like the mystery it presented itself now is so vastly different than what it was before. Before it was just like who murdered the whole family, and we need to find out who murdered the whole family, right? But now it's not only that. It's more like there's more in what was it? Grim Reaper, life and death situation, and I mean like literal life and death situation with like it's such an interesting read, you know, but it's so, you know, like there's not a lot of people talking about it right now. Or maybe it's because I haven't been in the fandom that long, so I don't really know what's happening in the fandom. I'm not really going into the fandom, the Black Butler fandom, but I feel like there's not a lot of people talking about it. But that's only my, because I don't really go out and search what's happening in the community, so I don't really know. Why are we talking about snowman again? No, I was picking the snowman one. Is there anything? No. No other things. Okay, we just move. Man! This is a lot. Iris is not here? Oh, there she is. I'm just playing around with the ideas of the title of next month's installment. Another idea I had was the barrel cornet. I'm really torn about which one to use. What do you think, Bruno? Anything but Baka Bruno, obviously. I suppose you're right. I'll tell you what, I'll surprise you with it. You'll have to wait until next month and see. Ugh, so many sleepless nights. It's my favorite one. In fact, I think it's high time for afternoon tea. Wait there, I'll fetch the special blend that I've prepared for today. I feel like sometimes tea feel like so bitter, don't you think? Future self? Tea is quite bitter. That's why I prefer milk tea. Tea with lots of sugar. Not real tea. So, but yours don't do they, Bruno? Well, I have read The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes now by order of Mr. Sato. But the trouble is, having seen the real thing in action, somehow the stories doesn't quite ring true for me. Well, he does solve the cases in the end. I suppose so. Perhaps there's more to the great detective than meets the eye. Yeah, what's the deal with Holmes, actually? It feels like he's stupid, but there are some secrets to him. Oh, I need to sneeze again. Not sneeze. What is it? What is the word? Not sneeze. You know, Hurley mistakenly drank from. We already know about that. I think he was lucky though. He hasn't exploded yet. I mean, it is alkaloid. It's living with Mr. Sholmes does. Hazardous. It is the risk you have to willing to take. Oh. Iris. That's incredible concentration, that is. I find it quite remarkable how she can focus on so many different things at once. Perhaps I should try drinking more herbal tea. The plant dirt from the right would be good for you, Runo. Oh, Iris? This girl is destined for great things, I'm sure. Also... He has lots of sarcasm, doesn't he? Mr. Naruhodo, you're ruining my dreamy thoughts. Please don't do that again. Ugh, now I've meant to Sato-san angry as well. Japanese kotatsu. I never been in Japanese kotatsu. Have I? Have I? I don't remember. But to be honest, I think I like Phoenix and Maya's banter more than Susato's and Naruhodo's banter, in my opinion. You mustn't look in there, Runo. Those notes are secret between Daddy and me. Harley tends to forget, you see. As soon as he solved the case, in fact. Once when he read one of my manuscripts, he had a terrible argument about it. Never have I solved such cases, Hat. He was absolutely adamant. Sometimes I wonder if he's from another planet, don't you? He is from another planet. I believe in you. I believe that he is from another planet. Lots of things I've never seen before. It's all heaped up so high. I cannot go. We already know this. I'm sorry I'm going through all. But I know future me, you also like going through it. I'm just talking to future me. Stradivarius. It's world famous Stradivarius. What? Stradivarius, Mr. Naruhodo. Strado. Are you even trying? Are you even trying now? We'll come back to this another time, I think. This enormous machine takes some role and isn't it really very imposing? Hurley's great analytoscope. Yes, it can analyze anything at all, you know. But I've never seen anyone actually using it. Well, it's its invention, so I don't know how to operate it. Why don't you get to analyze your own operation then? Its own operation. Oh, you know, you're razor sharp today, aren't you? It's just here to be a background. To become a background. Wait, where's the desk? I thought he has a desk. I thought he has a desk. That's not a spade, Naruhodo-san. It's a shovel. No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose materials. It's a spade. No, spades are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a shovel. Well, it doesn't really matter, does it? You're so right, Mr. Naruhodo. We mustn't quarrel over such trifles. On reflection then, I think I'll leave this spade where it is. We may need a shovel when we're working in the garden. So did I get the achievement yet? Because there is achievement where you need to get every argument about shovel and yes. The English are so clever, coming up with the idea of having ocean life on this lake in the home. And it means you always have an emergency midnight fish on hand too. I'm not sure that's really the idea. Oh, okay. It's just usually when you are in a bind, you go back to your office and then there's nothing here. Why even is this available? Ah, we're back here again. Oh my god. Here we are again. The eccentric landlord's eccentric top floor abode. We're here because Mr. Gary Debs, the one who discovered the incident this morning, don't forget. It's you again. Ah, you chaps, eh? Yeah, yes, good morning, sir. Thank you for your cooperation in court yesterday. It was quite a trial. As much for Mr. Gardap as anyone, really. Came straight back here after all that business at the Bailey yesterday. Didn't expect to wake up to more ball nonsense this morning. I wonder if you wouldn't mind telling us exactly what happened, Mr. Gardap. Yes, I suppose you'd like to know about all the dead loss of an actor trapped in the ground floor. Those were exactly Inspector Gregson's words. I'm sorry. Were they? Weren't they? Oh, standing up. Amate. Can I examine? It's neatly now. Oh no, I thought it was neatly, but no, it's still completely torn apart by all of this. Reminds me of the Battle of My One, don't you know? The experience of seasoned veteran. Enemy had us surrounded on all sides. We really thought we were done for, the whole Bali company. We were taking a real punishment from the cannons, so all we could do was run for ourselves, of our lives. I thought that story was going on in a different direction, actually. Well, the whole experience taught me one thing I can tell you. When you're done for, you're really done for. That's not what a lawyer who often find themselves under fire wants to hear. Wait, he didn't clean after what happened in the first one? That's an impressive collection of cakes on that fancy silver cake stand there. I feel sure that it was full of cakes when you first investigated in here as well. Yes, quite right. Haven't touched it since. Haven't done much at all really since it all happened. Time's rather stood still for me, you know. Oh, time has stood still? Oh, that's an interesting phrase. I might be able to use that excuse when I'm next supposed to be tidying the office. You could just tidy up, Mr. Naruhodo. Aftermath area altercation. Don't suppose I'll be able to clear the mess up for sometime now. Sometime. Oh dear, this must be a very difficult situation for you. I'll say people talk about twists of fate and whatnot. But this is a twist and a half. A rotten show all around. He's clearly struggling with everything that's happened. You look very dashing in your uniform there, Mr. Gardep. Ah, that old portrait, eh? Drawn by an art student who used to rent the room downstairs. Oh, you look so wonderfully young and courageous and strong. Yes, well, the chap presented it to me one day and asked if I'd let him off the month's rent in return. Oh, I see. So, you did personally? I bloody well did not. Oh! A portrait is a portrait, but rent is rent, eh? And yet, it's still there proudly on the wall. Good to see Mr. Gardep's Medal of Honor still proudly displayed on the wall. The inscription read, "For distinguished participation," if you remember. Yes, I remember, because I remember thinking even I might stand a chance of picking up honors like that. Wouldn't know it. Look at me now, perhaps, but I had my Devil May Cry. Sorry, I thought it was Devil May Cry. It's Devil May Care days, you know? Devil May Care? What did you get up to? Wait, isn't Devil May Cry a Capcom game? Was it a Capcom game? This is a Capcom game, right? I remember this one is a Capcom game. Ah yes, the enormous mortar shells. It's quite something seeing them up close, isn't it? Didn't you say something about firing them into the barracks, Mrs. Gardep? Ah, you remember, do you? Just a little mishap that occurred during training one day. What are you doing firing on your own men? The captain bellowed at me. I'm not surprised. A little mishap doesn't really do it the justice, does it? Well, one has these little incidents when one's a hot-headed young private. Perhaps I should have some evidence that resulted from one of my little mishaps on display. Oh, does that great lawyer like the great detective want to exhibit some trophies as his finest moment? Sato already knows what is Phoenix thinking. Phoenix, not Phoenix. I'm sorry. It's not a Hodo. Ryunosuke. That's your military uniform, isn't it, Mr. Gardep? Wait, ceremonial grab, yes. Been hanging on the wall ever since my retirement bash. It is not in active service now, you know. Doesn't mean much to me anymore. You could have the old thing if you wanted. Well, it might suit Lord Van Zix, perhaps. An overly ostentatious outfit like this would be just what he needs. Very tactful, Mr. Sato. Very tactful indeed. There's a single apron drying on drying on that enormous cannon-shaped clothes horse. Look. No, Mr. Naruhodo, that's a real cannon. I knew that. I was just testing you. Piece of history that is. Seen plenty of action on the battlefield, I can tell you. Now the old girl and I just enjoying the peace and quiet retirement together. And of course, she'd come in handy if the enemy decide to launch an attack again. Is there a war going on that I don't know about? A copy of France magazine! The Adventures of Mr. Sherlock Holmes is being read all over London. Isn't it wonderful? Naturally, one asks oneself if such a singular detective could really exist. But having met the chap, it is undeniable he is most certainly singular. Singularly dangerous. That's genuine public opinion for you, Mrs. Susato. Perhaps it should be reflected in the stories. Make no mistake, Mr. Naruhodo, I intend to snuff out the sort of public opinion we just heard personally. I'm starting to see where Mr. Sholmes' unattained reputation comes from now. I don't think there's any other thing. Yep, nope. Okay, let's come first. Oh! It's so hard to do this guy's accent. Accent, not accent. This guy's voice. It must have been real shock for you this morning. I heard that you discovered what had happened. Ah, well, that hopeless actor chap rises at 5 o'clock sharp every morning without fail. But at 5:30 this morning, he still hadn't lit the gas. So I went down and knocked on his door, but nobody answered. And that's when you broke into his room by kicking down the door. Well, I called on that crumb-looking Japanese chap to do the grunt work, of course. Wasn't it a little premature to kick the door down? The man could have just overslept by half an hour. That's very true, Mr. Naruhodo. If 30 minutes oversleeping warranted such behavior, I'd have to kick your door down every morning. Well, you know, better to be safe than sorry and all that. Is it just me or is he avoiding our gaze now all of a sudden? Except that it was a sorry situation indeed that you found on the far side of the door. The victim name is Mr. Shakespeare, I believe. Is that right? Yes, William Shakespeare took the ground floor room 3 months ago now. And how would you describe him? In a word, destitute. Destitute? Well, let's face it, the only redeeming feature of that room is the cheap rent. Anyone wanting to live in a place like that is either broke or has a bully screw loose. So hard to choose which category Soseki-san will fall into. Mr. Naruhodo, that's a little rude. He was doing research as well. Research? Into what? Shakespeare, of course. Shakespeare! Read a few plays. Oh, oops. What? Read a few plays of the world by myself, you know. Romeo and Hamlet. Romeo and Hamlet. Very nice. Very nice, Romeo and Hamlet. Wow, I didn't know there was a play about Romeo and Hamlet. Sao? Sao? S-A-O? You mean Sword Art Online? Of course, Mr. Natsume is a scholar of English literature as well. I imagine that he and Mr. Shakespeare will have had much in common. Shakespeare interpretation disagreement leads to shocking murder? Let's hope it's not that. Mr. Naruhodo, really? How rude. After Mr. Natsume's trial yesterday, you came straight back here, I believe, didn't you? Did you notice anything strange between then and this morning? Well, now. Must have been about 6 in the evening by the time I got home. Snow was coming down rather heavily as I remember, and it was completely dark already. That failed actor chap was out of the time. Mr. Garrett noticed there was no light from his room or something, I suppose. Couldn't summon the energy for anything much, so I just sat in the fall of the fire here. It was after 8 before Shakespeare got back. And the chap was up until 1 in the morning, I'll have you know. Suppose he made his end after some time after that. I was asleep by then, so I'm rather in the dark here. Well, thank you, that was very illuminating. I love the pun so much. Is there everything alright, Mrs. Sato? Well, I was just thinking it's a little strange, that's all. Mr. Gardep, you were up here in your room all evening, if I have understood correctly. Not a big fan of stairs, not with this blasted leg. Then, how is it that you seem to know? The precise movement of your tenant on the ground floor, I mean. That's a very good point. I cannot imagine that you could hear noises from the ground floor all the way up here. Does this old man like to spy on his tenants? Is that it? I say, I know that you're thinking and it's body outrage. I'm ex-military, don't you know? I don't go around spying on my tenants. Why would I? Then how did you know, Mr. Gardep? It's the gas woman. The gas tell me everything. The gas? What on earth, what do you mean, sir? How can the gas tell you everything, let alone everything? Anything, let alone everything. Okay. Well, as you probably aware, the gas is supplied to the building by pipes. Yes, I had more or less worked that out. Every room in the building is connected by a single pipe to the gas main outside. And the gas company supplies the gas to properties via the main. Yes, I understand that too. Let me, if I can explain, let's say I was to light the gas lamps up here. What do you suppose would happen? Well, obviously the room will get brighter. Exactly, but at the same time, the lights in all other rooms of the house would dim for a moment. What? They dim? Perhaps it's because when you light the gas lamp, it briefly uses more gas than usual. And that reduces the amount of gas in the pipe for the other lamps that are connected to it. That might explain why the other lamps dim momentarily, mightn't it? Yes, of course. Because everything's connected to a single supply pipe. Is that supposed to happen though? It sounds rather undesirable. Jolly good point. The fact is the gas company's pipe in these parts are pretty hopeless, long worn out, and barely got any gas in them to start with. Opposite's also true, of course. Extinguish the lamps up here and they glow brighter in the rest of the house. Alright, I see. So by watching the flickering of the lamps in one room, you can determine what's happening elsewhere. You've got it. Oh, of course. Because when people come back home in the evening and before they go to sleep at night, what they're guaranteed to do is either light or put out their lamps in fires. Clever. In point or in fact, the room on the ground floor and the one above it's slightly different. Use slightly different amount of gas. By watching the lights in here closely, I can work out almost exactly what's going on in the whole house. Gosh, that's fascinating, Mr. Gardep. That's absolutely fascinating. Oh well, nothing to it really. I can't really see that it's going to help us with the case either. What I'd like to know is why Mr. Gardep is so interested in what his tenants are up to in the first place. I feel like there's more to it than idle curiosity. Well, we've done as much investigating here as we can, I think. Perhaps we ought to go to the prison and speak with Mr. Natsume again? We haven't speak to Mr. Natsume, okay? Good idea. We haven't speak to him at all. Ah, this guy really. Oh, look, Mr. Naruhodo. Mr. Natsume, have the police finished questioning you now?
Welcome, student Mr. Hahaha Esquire.
Yes?
What is he? Tell me, is he a ghost? Is he here to haunt me?
Let me guess, you're talking about Mr. Sholmes? He actually calls himself a great detective, Mr. Natsume, not a ghost.
But his diabolical deductions, they're not of this world. They have left me. Cursed! I'm cursed, I'll tell you.
Well, that sort of hurts. Credit where credit is due, Mr. Naruhodo. You were heavily involved in the deduction too. Yes, moving on. We have some wonderful news. Oh? The victim that we all thought was dead has come back to life again. Now, in the absolutely worst case, you could only be tried for attempt murder. That's great, isn't it, Mr. Natsume?
It's terrible!
Oh.
I'm stuck in this cell suffering for some silly wrong end of the stick! You did it, didn't you? Confess! You're a killer! Why the mustache? Why the mustache, indeed. Constant questions!
I'm sorry to hear that.
That's salvage sisters! Make up your mind, are you dead or alive? If you were going to come back to life, why bother dying? Wickedly wishy-washy William!
Well, it seems likely that Mr. Shakespeare never actually died in the first place.
Yes, that might make sense, and I'm pleased that he's alive, of course. Our lively debate last night was much fun. It'd be sad to think that it was our last.
Oh,
Oops. Mr. Natsume? Does this mean that you did see the victim last night? You met Mr. Shakespeare, didn't you? I'm not saying another word! I demand to have a lawyer Who do you think I am?
please, Mr. Natsume, we need to hear your side of the story.
Why am I cursed like this?
Can you tell us exactly what happened last night then, Mr. Natsume?
There's nothing to tell. But Mr. Naruhodo Esquire,
I am eternally grateful to you for helping with that accursed case yesterday. The case that we saw poor Miss Green hospitalized after she ended up with a knife on her back. It's hard to believe that was only yesterday. After the trial was over, I trudged my weary way back to my lonely lodgings. And that evening, at past 9, it must have been I visited Mr. Shakespeare. So, you did go to the victim's room then? As we feared,
I didn't do anything wrong! I'd never been to his room before. It was the first time.
Then, what made you decide to go?
I bumped into him when I arrived at the house. We got chatting and it developed into a discussion. But he had to go out, so I bid him farewell.
That ties in with what Mr. Gardep said, that the victim went out and came back after 8. We met again later that evening at around 9, and just after, when I looked him some nice tea I brewed as a gift. So it was you who brought the tea that had clearly been drunk at the scene then. And I suppose you were discussing the works of Shakespeare, were you?
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Romeo and Juliet, who was the stronger? It was a delightful debate. What the hell? What the hell is that debate? Such stimulating subjects, Shakespeare.
And the debate became very heated as you slipped poison into Miss Shakespeare's tea.
No, never, not at all. Team Juliet won, that was me, and when I left his room, the flamboyant fellow was fighting fit. I swear it categorically.
Wait, I should have made him speak in Japanese English. Mr. Natsume, you often say the same thing about yourself. I've noticed that you have a cursed existence.
I am sure I've mentioned it to this is to you before, but I've been here in Great Britain for a year now, and in that time I've learned that it is no place for me. It can be very trying to live in a foreign land and adapt to the ways of another culture. There are foreigners everywhere I look, and they all stare at me. They all laugh. That's the impression I get too whenever I go out too. It makes me scared to leave my room, which is why I've been recluse. But even in my room, I find no respite from my fears. I've moved from times that I can remember. And then 1 week ago, I moved into Briar Road. But why? I mean, why did you choose that place? It doesn't seem very comfortable. Because the rent is cheap. I have so little money, it spoke to me. The rent? Obviously, there's a reason why it's cheap. Because the room is cursed. Cursed? Cursed how? The previous occupant, the man who lived there before I took the room, died there. Oh no. He was only a young man, but one morning he was found dead and no one could explain why. Surely no one would want to live in a room with a history like that. I didn't. When the letting agent recommended the place, I wavered. But I want books, and books cost money. A horrible history is a small price to pay. When I realized it would mean I could buy more books, I signed the list like lightning. Brave or blinkered. But after I moved in, I soon came to realize what I'd done. I realized how horrible the room history really was. Gosh, was it really that so awful? How did the room horrible history affect you, Mr. Natsume? What happened? At first, it was just a feeling. The feeling of beady eyes pouring to my back watching me. Do you think that Mike has just been your mind playing tricks on you? No. My mind doesn't know any tricks. It was someone else. It's been one long nightmare ever since I was given the keys to the place. A nightmare? You've been having a bad dreams, you mean? All the souls who've died in the room, I lean over me in my sleep and try to strangle me. That really is horrible. And now I come to think of it, it happened again last night too. The very same night that Mr. Shamesbury was breathing in agony from the poison in his body. I was on the verge of being suffocated silent by those miserable spirits in my room. You simply must move out of the room as soon as possible. Yes, you're right, I know it. That's why. I'm already searching for the next room with the history to call home. I think perhaps you should try to avoid accommodation with any kind of history at all. Otherwise, I'm scared that you yourself may become history. Hey, Susato-san knows how to make the man listen. Of course, Mr. Lord of the Manor is worried about the curse of my room as well. You mean Mr. Gardup? Yes, he knows that if people keep dying there, he'll never be able to rent it again. Well, that's true. I, for one, wouldn't go near that place. Ah! Perhaps.
That may explain why the landlord pays so much attention to gas lamps and his tenants' movements. You mean because he's worried about their well-being? He does seems to have unusually keen interest in the amount of gas in the pipes. There must be a reason why he keeps such close tabs on the occupants of his bedrooms. What do you mean he pays so much attention to the gas lamps? Oh dear, no, it's nothing to do with you, Mr. Natsume. Please forget what I said. Oh, now you're talking about me behind my back as well. What's important is that Mr. Shakespeare, in fact, isn't in fact dead at all. Once he's come around and he's able to tell us what happened, we'll be able to get you released. Yes, please. Oh, I do hope you're right. Excuse me? Oh, it's Inspector Gregson. I couldn't help overhearing what you said, and on that note, I have some good news and some bad news. Oh! Which you'd want first? Always, every time, the bad news comes first. When hope is all you have, hold on to it. That's my guiding principle. Right, well, in that case, the good news it is. Huh? Sorry, but it's just a lot easier to explain everything that way. Then why did you ask me for my preference? As you might have heard, the victim, Mr. Shakespeare, was just unconscious. Hey, come around now. Yes, we saw it happen and it's all terrifying glory. He's still being treated by the doctors, but we've managed to get a written statement from him already. Oh, isn't that wonderful, Mr. Natsume? Oh, thank goodness! It's all over then, I can leave this somber cell! Sorry, no. That's not on the cards. What? Why ever not, Inspector? Mr. Shakespeare has implicated someone as being responsible for what happened last night. Implicated someone? Oh dear! You don't mean... I'm sorry to say, I do, yes. He's pointed finger at you, Mr. Natsume. By sweet poison did he seek to end my life. That wicked caitiff. So sick, Natsume. No! So I'm afraid you'll be appearing in court as planned. You'll be wanting to make the necessary preparations. No! And so, once again, Soseki-san found himself having to take a dock in the Old Bailey. Whether his room was haunted or whether he was just terribly unlucky, I knew I had no choice. The following day, I would represent him in the court and do my utmost to break the curse that blighted him. Yay! We finished the investigation part. Yeah. Next time, we'll do the court one. I think there. Do you hear my notification? Okay, so I think that's it for now. My future self, if you're watching until the end, yes, thank you for watching it again to make you remember what happened in the game, because I know your short term memory is not good, and long term memory is not good either. So I really hope that you can remember the feelings you felt when you're playing this game, future me, and comment down on what I said before about Black Butler. Because I really want to know. Actually, why would I mean, if I know, that means my future me know. Of course my future me know, then my past me still don't I'm gonna stop with the time conundrum because time is a very weird concept that cannot be described that much logically. I think logically you can, but like still. Anyway, wow, it's been 2.5 hours. Really. Whew. I just hope the font stays though. I really hope the font stays. Because yeah. But I'm really excited for the next part because it's court time. Yeah, I love court time. So let me see. Thank you for watching, future me. See you again next part. Bye-bye. Bye. And don't forget to do your assignment, please. It's due tonight. Please, future me. No, wait, that's me. That's not future me. Future me already finished the assignment. That's me. I have assignment due this midnight. Oh my god. Bye.